Yes, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the second Global Next Generation Software Engineering Conference. Yesterday's sessions were great and informative, and today we've definitely got a whole lot more, so do stay tuned and join in for the session that we have in store for today. And to all those who are just joining for the first time, a brief on the GNSEC event. So the Global Next Generation Software Engineering Conference focuses on a full range of software engineering technologies and is committed to defining the standard of the next generation of software engineering. And it will present 8 tracks, so 4 of which will be today, 4 of which was yesterday. And these tracks all include amazing topics, amazing opportunities for you to get some practical, technical content on various topics. And of course, you'll also have the chance to learn the latest software development and testing technologies and best practices, as well as discover new ways to take on or to solve complex development problems. So I'd also like to remind all of you that outside of the live sessions, do take the time to visit the virtual booths of our partners for this event. We do have Couchbase, Yugabyte, New Relic, and Elastic who are sponsors for this event. So without them, we wouldn't be able to make this event happen. And of course, we do have our event organizers and supporting organizers, DevOps Foundation, HKPC, and Great Ops community. So it would be great if you could also take time to visit their booths outside the live sessions I mentioned. And you may find that in the booths tab at the top of your screen when you're not in the live sessions. And for those of you who may have missed the sessions yesterday, and you may always view the whole agenda in the view schedule or the sessions button on the receptions page, including all those who would be speaking at each session. And there you may also watch the replay of all the previous sessions that took place yesterday. If ever you're to skip any today, you can always come back later today and watch them as well. And lastly, do feel free to engage in all the sessions. So you may always drop your questions and messages in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen, and the speakers will be able to take on them. So with that, let's get things going. And for this first session, I would be calling and like to introduce Mr. Anndy Lian for this session of the day. Jump into what has been trending these past few months, or I should say this past recent years. His presentation will be on the future of NFTs, regulations, and bear market benefits. I'm sure it'll be great for all of those who are interested in this topic, especially when it comes to trading business. A brief on Andy. He's an all-rounded business strategist with more than 15 years of experience in Asia. And he has provided advisory across a variety of industries for local, international, and of course, public listed companies. And he has played a pivotal role in not-for-profit and quasi-government linked organizations. And as an avid supporter for incubating startups, he does have investments in a few health-related companies, and he believes that what he is doing for the blockchain technology currently will revolutionize and redefine traditional businesses. So as I mentioned, do drop your messages for Andy if you have any in the chat box, and he'll be able to take on them. So with that, I hand it over to you, Andy.
Hi everyone, good morning. I do not have any slides per se because I'm actually on the road, and right now I'm in South Korea, Busan. We'll be speaking at the Busan Blockchain Week event that is going to start right now and last for the last 2 days. So today my topic is more straightforward. I will give a good overview about NFTs and about NFT regulations, and then from there I will talk about what are some of the things that you can do a lot better during the bear market. So let me give you an overview of the current NFT scene. So the hype around the NFT has definitely slowed down. It seemed like NFT was going for a really big explosive year, in the beginning of 2022, and it was then also named the word of the year. Coming off a really high volume, starting in January and then in February, but then it turns out that all that was the real peak of everything. If you look at Q3 right now, 2022 NFT trading volume around the top 8 chains, there is a 76.4% trading volume decrease from Q2 moving on to Q3. So this is a figure that is fairly alarming for many of our own crypto native or NFT supporter. But trust me, that is a phase where we all need to get to the right momentum. That's the time for us to really try to regroup and do a lot more for the NFT and crypto industry. So I'll give you a little bit more stats. Since then the trading volume has dropped 70 more than 76%, if you compare it from a quarter. And then since the start of the year, it has dropped by another 83%. And all these statistics are already on chain. I'm looking at Footprint Analytics. I'm looking at Dune Analytics, and comparing the different statistics that I've gotten. There are various changes that happen in the scene. So blockchain like Ronin, Avalanche has fallen out from the top 8 and is being replaced by newer ones like Immutable X. And this is how the competition have changed the landscape. New people will come, old people will go, or they will work harder, to reposition themselves. And then again, if you look at the topic that I have for today, the starting the part of what I'm saying is fairly trying to give you a pretext on how the whole NFT industry is like. Everyone is saying it's bearish. Everyone is very cautious. Those are all really good things, about NFTs and about the growth. And I will jump into that at the later part where I look at how the bear market is actually more beneficial for a lot of the new projects. But before that, I do believe that many people are still trying their very best to work really hard, to get into the NFT scene, because you have to build as hard as you can during the downtime, the bearish times. When it's bearish, you build more. And to be real honest, projects that were built in the bear times have a lot more potential for growth if they do well. And investors, including like myself, or even the retail investors, for example, they have lesser expectation during the bear market. So as long as you are doing a good project, you have a good community, you have a good team, you are trying to your very best to push your NFTs, you have a chance to be the next unicorn. When everything just resets and grow a lot better, in time to come. So as you build, you look at the different things like pricing, you look at the different things like your promotions. But to be real honest, and I've mentioned this several times, and also on some of the articles that I've written, the current state of NFT is a bit strange, but to me is maybe the price point can be a very good attraction point, for people to come by. So if you are right now an NFT creator, try to be more sensitive on the price. Do not think about minting your NFTs and trying to sell them at 1 Ethereum, for example. It's not going to work. So I hope to see more people trying their very best to come up with nice design at a more affordable price. That is a very good way for you to bring your community up, because it's affordable. You can attract more people. You can build from the lowest point and start to build your NFTs floor price from a very reasonable price, while create more activities to generate more sales in the secondary market. So during the bad times, I think this is a very, very good way to make your NFT a lot more sustainable and a lot more sexier, for the general consumer and the general community. So this is one point that I have to mention. Jumping back to some other points that I want to also bring out, in my, and actually is already in one of my latest book, called NFT from Zero to Hero, I stated a lot of different ways that NFT projects can grow during the bad times and how the users can make use of the tools available online and on different various platforms to determine what NFT they should get into. So take a look at the book, NFT from Zero to Hero. It's on Amazon and a few other outlets, including Google Books, Bybit Exchange. Where I've launched the book most recently as well. So take a look. You can get some good content from there. Um, I talk about things like pricing. Before that, and I talk about uh, different ways that you can look at things and NFT market in the bad at the bad times. I want to touch on another two more points. So point number one is how you're going to market yourself. As you know, that the return on investment, if you put in the right kind of marketing dollars, can get you uh, sizable sizable outcome from your marketing budget. So I hope people who are just starting on the project, they should really think about using some really creative ways to market. You know, find different ways that you can creatively push your project in the most affordable and effective manner. So if you can do things like being really active on places like Twitter or Reddit, there's a lot of good surprises that you can get from there. Many times you can get very good organic volume, very good organic traction from Reddit, especially. And of course, if you want to get more eyeball on your NFTs in a largely faster manner, you could really look at Twitter, because Twitter has a lot of good eyeballs on new NFT projects. And crazily enough, if you look at some of the statistics, many of the buyers, most initial NFT knowledge, or the first few NFT buy, are all triggered from Twitter. So please spend some time on this social media. And again, during these bearish times, you do not need to spend too much on user acquisition. It can be a very straightforward whitelist model where you only give out to people who are very supportive of you, and making the competition. Again, expectation during the bear markets are a lot lower. Last but not least, I want to touch on the point on community before I move on to things that are more regulatory and so forth. So community are another factor that is going to drive your NFT project a lot better during the bearish times. So if you can try to get yourself into different places, for example, if you are strong in Southeast Asia, places like Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines are core region where you can get in many good community members. They are all willing to do extra mile just for the project. So this is number one. You can look at Southeast Asia, or you can go look at South Africa, for example, or in some instances, some of my friends are very strong in Kenya. They push a lot. They try their very best to reach out to the Kenya users, and it's a lot easier. You know, the community is very tightly knitted, and that is one of the ways to get hold of big community members. As long as you have good enough community members, a lot of your things will move. You just imagine, the second point I mentioned about marketing. If you have good enough community members, just 1,000 of them, you do not need to have too many, active 1,000. When you post a media or make a statement on Twitter, all 1,000 of them just go and retweet it. You can get your attention very fast if you do it in a more consistent manner, because Twitter's algorithm actually pick things up very quickly. So try your very best to look at how to build a community a lot more effective during the bad times. And as you can see, the current momentum is not that high, but there's a lot of new projects that are coming out daily, on a very regular basis. to be real honest. You can see projects that are into the NFT space, taking up various thematics. For example, World Cup is coming. You can see a lot of sports related NFT projects that are all coming out. But the thing is, what are some of the things that you have to really look at, when you are trying to register or trying to launch your NFT project? Just give you an example. Launching an NFT project is not so much about just a piece of picture, right? You have to choose where you're going to register your entity, where are you going to do your sales, which countries or which regulations are more friendly in that manner. And regulations will give you a better edge on how you can really market your project to a next different level. I'll give you a few examples. So if you look at the current state of NFTs, for example, around 105 nations have legalized NFTs. Either they have expressively said that, or they are part of a larger recognition of cryptocurrency and virtual currencies. However, different legislation around NFTs are very general right now, and it's not very much specifically designed for NFTs. US, Canada, Australia, and some other countries in the EU region are notable examples of markets that are integrated and moderately regulated. And in each of these jurisdiction, the legal strategy to view NFTs as either a type of a capital gain taxable asset or a component of an individual income tax portfolio. So you have to really look at how the different countries are explicitly looking at NFTs and how they will affect you after your sales, because some countries are really more heavy on tax and some countries are not. So you as a creator, you have to understand this. All right. There are also a number of nations where NFTs and cryptocurrency are implicitly or expressively banned. This is largely because those governments, view NFTs as and other digital asset as a threat to their current financial system. And give you a few examples. It would be China, Vietnam, Egypt, Qatar. These are some of these examples. Let me just quickly go through the market with you. Yeah. So if you look at the biggest market, which is the US, United States, there are no particular NFT legislation in the US as compared to UK. Some NFT crypto asset kind of cover by already existing federal laws. For instance, the SEC, in US may treat specific types of NFTs as security under the US security law. So in US, this is how the situation is like. In India, there is no legal framework for NFT, and there's no classification of NFT under SCRA. It is unclear if the dealing of NFT is forbidden under the SEC or under one of the act that is in 1956. If NFTs are deemed to constitute to derivatives trading in them, then it would be forbidden in India. So India's stand is also very straightforward. As long as you are just a NFT, for example, in a form of art, in a form of nice picture, there's no straightforward no to NFT creation or selling. But as long as you touch on derivatives, and that would be forbidden. So in India. In Singapore, for example, the Singapore Central Bank, recently announced that they will not regulate the NFT market, and under the law of Singapore, it will subject to MAS regulatory requirements if it has a certain capital market characteristics, under the SFA Act in Singapore, which is the Securities and Futures Act in Singapore. So again, it's more straightforward as long as you deem to have very similar activities behind the NFT that looks like a capital market product. SFA will be involved in Singapore. So you got to be very careful, if you choose Singapore. And again, the other thing that I have to also highlight is that if your NFT has a feature, for example, of a digital payment token, then you have to look at the other act, which is called Payment Services Act, or PSA in general. So if you touches on both of them, you need to get a certain approval, from the Singapore regulatory. So don't be fooled by some of your consultants who just come in and say Singapore is the best place to make your business. There is it's free for all. This what I heard many times. Me as a Singaporean, I try to correct them. It's not free for all. We have very good regulations and we have very good guidelines for projects to follow. So NFT in Singapore, yes, it's safe as long as you know what you're doing. And in UK, things are also getting a bit different right now. I think NFT as of now is not subjected to any NFT rules in UK, but they are recognized as a kind of crypto asset. So to be more precise, it can be classified as a security token, or e-money token, or even a unregulated token. However, most NFTs are not regulated since they do not meet the first two criteria that I've mentioned. And even if it does, it can result in a broader regulation such as anti-money laundering rule, or laundering rule for art pieces more than 10,000 pounds, for example. And you can also subject to different capital tax if purchased or sold at a profit. So strict rules require consumer to be adequately informed and warned about the risk and the loss and the price volatility, and of course, promotions around NFTs and so forth are also not advised. Based on what my local partners were telling me. But of course, the UK has a lot of changes over the last week. There's a new prime minister who is very pro to crypto, and things might change. So UK, kind of straightforward. The other larger market that most of us have noticed would be China. China, to be real honest, I think NFTs can currently be purchased or sold by individual in the mainland China. NFTs are not presently subjected to any specific laws or regulations. The National Internet Finance Association of China, the Securities Association of China, and the Banking Association jointly released a initial statement regarding the prevention of financial risk associated with NFTs, because the three organizations are all under the supervision of the central bank, the Banking Regulatory Authority, and the Security Regulatory Authority. And since the initiative is not a regulation under the PRC rule, it reflects the attitude and policy orientation of regulators in mainland China. For the time being, the word NFT, at a certain point of time, to be honest, can be deemed as sensitive and temporarily blocked by some of the official media sites. So if you look at the statement, it seems to be a bit more uh, different. In some ways, yes, cryptocurrency is banned in China. NFTs are not, but as long as you are trying to sell NFTs and trying to sell it, for example, using a cryptocurrency behind it, you are 100% illegal. In the eye of a PRC law. So please be very mindful on how you're going to conduct your business in places like China. because there are very specific rules that the community has set forth, and it can be found online. So please take a look at China. I'll run by one last country, and and we'll share a little bit more insight. So I think the next one that I can share would be Japan, for example. So um, I think in Japan, there's no particular regulations that governs NFT. The government said in 2022 January that it was creating an NFT task force, which suggests that regulations is soon to come. Currently, an NFT may meet the definition of a security under the Finance Instrument and Exchange Act if its holder receive cash or other asset that represent a sharing of profit. It should be carefully considered whether NFT violate laws like gambling, for example, which are especially important for NFT and that are deployed in games. So these are some of the things that you see in some major countries that I operate in, and how they look at regulation. So maybe I can give you a very good overview, on how people look at it. As long as your NFT is just pure NFT and you are not trying to hide any security product behind it, I think you are quite cool. You are okay. Because we have friends who launch NFT projects that that is backed by real estate, for example, or backed by a certain basket of stocks, for example. These are not acceptable. And if you want to protect yourself, you have to really try your very best to avoid some of these projects. Yeah, and if you are looking at choosing the right kind of country, to operate in, and what kind of customer you want to take on. Some people might say, hey, if I'm on the decentralized NFT marketplace, who's going to care? Well, you can say that, but the thing is, as you move on to a more regulated regime, wallets, wallet addresses, all these things will be recorded and will have a certain record on the chain. And when you withdraw the money based on what you have gained, these are all taxable, for certain countries. So you got to be very mindful of a few things that I've mentioned. Last but not least, I just want to go through a very quick one, for entrepreneurs who are all trying to build an NFT marketplace um, for your business, because many of the people are all trying to build a good NFT marketplace and trying to drive their own business. This is very much aligned with the government regulations that I've mentioned previously. So once you get hold of a place where you know where you want to operate, these are 6 points or 7 pointers that I think you should need to do when you are setting up your own NFT business or NFT marketplace business. So number one, you should create your own legal entity, really based on where you want to function and how the rules are going to be in your advantage. So you got to take a look at that. Two is you also start to need to formulate the right kind of smart contracts that is used to interact with your users and with your creators. Then you need to look at the terms of services. Need to look at the terms of service, how you regulate and interact with the different users on the NFT marketplace. The terms of sales, for example, is the fourth thing that I think you need to look at. If the platform, for example, do not have terms of service, um, it's very difficult for people to recognize and do more on your platform. You should also take note of things that are compliance to the security laws. You need to look at the intellectual property that is tagged to each participant at every stage of your NFT transaction. Copyright ownership will belong to the original creator that governs the work are also things that you have to take note of. And last but not least, you have to look at consumer protection, how you're going to fight against cyber criminal, how you're going to do your KYC and AML policies and so forth. So these are some of the things that you really need to look at. And if you can find the right kind of framework, or you can find the right kind of business, I hope you should take this opportunity to build your business right now in the bear market. Like I've mentioned and I said a few times, the expectation during the bear market is a lot lesser as compared to the good times in the bear market. So right now is the best stage for you to test, the best time for you to create your product. And trust me, if you can survive through the bear market, you can survive and do a lot better than some of your peers, in the bull run. So please, take a look at NFT if you have not. If you are already in the NFT scene, continue to work hard. There's a long way for you to go. And with that, I would thank the organizer. I'd like to thank everybody who's here. Um, if you need anything, just give me a call or give me a message on LinkedIn. I'll be very happy to reply to you. And God bless everybody.
Thank you very much, Andy, for that great presentation. And it was, of course, great hearing you share knowledge on the topic. I'm sure much had plenty to take away. A lot of people, including me as well, always wonder about the future of NFTs, especially as you mentioned, with the way that the hype has been slowing down. So rather than viewing it from negative ways, actually up an opportunity to actually jump into the market. So it's very great hearing that from you. And I'm very glad that you're able to make it here today. We look forward to more future collaborations with you. And to the rest of the audience, should you have any questions for Andy, do feel free, of course, to message him directly. Do connect with him on LinkedIn as well. He's dropped his Twitter as well on the chat box. So you may always connect with him through any of those platforms as well. So with that, we'll now be moving on to our next and first panel session of day 2. So I'll be seeing you all shortly in the next session. Thanks again, Andy.
Bye.